You should find this small test very familiar to you because it has been set up in a very similar way as the small test for design number 1, so that you can contrast one with another quite easily. Let's talk about line by line again. There will be some details I can simply omit, given that you have some familiarity with all the implementation. So we have we got the 4 variable declaration. We got CC current condition, we got FD forecast, we got SD statistics, and also we got WD weather data, right? So that's a weather data. So now compare with design number 1, we got observers over here. So potentially, let's say eventually we want to build a list of maybe 3 observers. And also we got forecast, we got current condition, we got statistics, right? As before. Let's now see how things will work at a high level. Let's say for the first one, we are simply just going to create WD over here, and then we're going to have 9, 75, and 25. So we got 9, 75, and also 25. That's how we did it before. And then we're also going to create an empty observer list, but just imagine that it's simply just empty. Think about the pink one, just eventually we want to grow the list up to 3 observer, but initially it should just be empty, like what I'm drawing here on the blue. Alright, so let's now see how we can individually create these 3 application objects. Let me make it a little bit larger here, zoom in a bit, just for you to easily see. Okay, the first one we want to create will be current conditions. Okay, so how do we execute cc.make? More specifically, creates cc.make. How do we do that? Remember, rather than simply just creating the one directional link like in the first design, we're going to create a bidirectional link like how we illustrated before. Remember this illustration over here, right? So I will simply just omit the execution detail just to show you the final outcome for the bidirectional link. So what's going to happen is, for this one here, for cc.make, so it's simply just going to say for the currents, this is cc. Number 1 is going to make sure where the data over here is actually going to point to WD. Symmetrically, we're going to add this particular current condition here when we say attach. So now it's going to also attach the current. So current is really CC. So now this is actually going to point to just the CC over here. Let me draw a little bit better over here. Otherwise, it can become very messy. That's a bidirectional link. So what about the second one? The second one will be forecast. So when we say create fd.make WD, right? So now what's going to happen is we're going to link to the same subjects, the same weather data. So now the weather data for FD is actually going to point to weather data, right? You can see we're setting up these particular attributes. And then symmetrically, we're going to make sure the second, this current, it has now become FD. So now the second element in the list is now going to point to this particular forecast objects, right? The arrows may become a little bit like an intertwining, but it's really systematic what we're doing over here. One more. So what about creates SD.make? So we're talking about the statistics objects over here. So how does it work? So what's going to happen is, number 1, SD will be the current, right? Well, eventually we're going to set the link back, but first of all, we're going to say make sure the weather data is going to be set to the same subjects. So this one here is going to be pointing to, okay, let me try not to overlap too much. It's now going to point to this particular subject, okay? And then symmetrically, it's also going to point back to this particular application, right? That's what we are having here. Let me try to help you a little bit more if that's useful. So basically, this part over here is really the one directional, simply from the application to the subjects. On the other hand, if I try another color over here, how about I try the pink? So this link over here, the pink one, is just the other direction over here, right? So these are the 6 links you had to set up in the runtime. All right, given that this has been set up, so what should we do? So let's now try to zoom back. First of all, we're going to say wd.set measurement. That's the first change. So 15, 60, 30.4. So it's going to be 15, 60, and 30.4. That's the first change. And now it is the responsibility for the subject to actually call the notify, right? Alternatively, you can really say as part of the implementation for set measurement, you're going to call notify anyway. That's one change you can make for your design. But for now, for demonstration purpose, I'm just going to explicitly call wd.notify. So this line over here is very important. So now it's telling us we're not going to wait for the each of the observer to call the update themselves, like in design number 1. So here wd.notify, if you recall how it is defined from previous slide. So notify from the subject class, right? So that one day is simply just going to go over all the observers and simply call the updates, right? So that's the dynamic binding that we talked about previously. And then for each one of them, also we briefly mentioned for the updates, for example, in the forecast, for the updates in current conditions, and also for the updates in statistics, they will be defined their own version of what does it really mean to updates themselves. Okay, so that's something you can also look back to design number 1 for the implementation detail. So what's going to happen is wd notify is going to go over one by one. So now it's going to go to this particular one, that'll be the first one, and call the updates on that. Dynamic binding is going to make sure it's going to call the updates on current condition. In that case, it's going to make sure it's going to update the current condition for, basically will link to its weather data, and then it's going to get the value for temperature and also for humidity. Okay, so that's the first iteration. What about the second iteration? The second iteration is going for this particular attached observer, which dynamically is forecast, and then called updates. How do we update the forecast specifically? Well, the specific version for the updates in the forecast is just going to say, I'm going to, first of all, go to the weather data I'm attached to, and then it's only going to look at the pressure. Okay, so that's how the update process will be done. Okay, so now we have done 2 iterations already. Imagine that we have updated 2 observers already. What about the third iteration? The third iteration is really pointing to this particular statistics app objects dynamically. And then we're going to call updates. How do we update the statistics? Well, what is going to basically follow the link for its weather data and go to this particular WD, and it only worries about temperature. In that case, we're just going to update the temperature, and that's the third updates, right? We're just going to, so you can think about the notify over here is going to go over observer one by one, and we're going to call the updates for each one of them, which is going to involve actually communicating with the subjects over here. But you can see that we still need to waste the computing resources, but we're only wasting it when necessary. So that's a fundamental difference from design number 1. So that's about the first notify. You can see the idea. So now if you try to simply do cc.display, fd.display, sd.display, you can call as many times as you like. You're not going to waste any resources, because now as part of the display, remember, for any of the display, the updates is not necessary anymore. Not necessary anymore. Right, as we said before, for each one of them. Okay, so now let's say later on we try to make some further changes to say we want to change to 11, 90, and 20. So we're going to further change that to be 11 and also 90 and also 20. So now in this case we're going to call notify again, right? So now in this case we're just going to follow the same process again, running the same loop, assuming that none of the observers has been detached. So we're just going to run this loop, first iteration, second iteration, and also third iteration over here, right? And then we're going to make sure they're up to date before we call display again. So that's really the fundamental difference you have to realize, especially how we build the bidirectional link when we construct the each one of the application objects. And also you want to make sure whenever you call notify, you're really going to go over the observer one by one, okay? And also bidirectional link in this way, right? So that's something you want to really review before you can move on to discuss about the drawback for this particular design. All right, hopefully you have no question about how the observer pattern works. We talk about its architecture, we talk about each individual class in detail, and also we talk about how it works at the runtime. The final piece for the puzzle will be, what will be the limitation for the observer pattern? Okay, let me pose this question to you. What if we got multiple subjects in the context rather than just a single subject? What if we got just one? And then every observer is also attached to maybe every subject at the runtime. How is it going to make the observer pattern less elegant? So that's a question for you. So think about it before you move on to the next video.